put this apple on your head.
Time's up. Let's do this.
We're in for a wild night.
Welcome, everyone, to episode 245 of Born to be Wild, a wild Hearthstone podcast where we have fun, hang out with friends, talking about the wild format of Hearthstone, and spotlighting members of the wild community. I'm your host, Hydralisk. It's great to be back here on this kind of rainy and crappy Friday when it comes to the weather, but it's great to be here with my fellow host, Schmoopydady.
In my headcanon in your house, like you just like craned your neck to look further into your house and like not out a window to check the weather. So like you just somehow figured out what's going on outside by staring at like a wall or like a bedroom or something. Anyway, I'm happy to be back.
There's definitely a window right here and it faces north and I can see like at least a few kilometers till there's like there's a wall of mountains.
Oh no!
And then I can't see past those.
Nope. Well, you saw a light fixture and you're like, it's probably cloudy.
Yeah. Just keep your head canon the way it is. Maybe I'm lying to you and you are right. That could be the case. For those of you joining us for the first time, welcome aboard. We record this podcast live every Friday evening at twitch.tv/borntobewildhs, and the video version of this podcast is then posted to YouTube shortly thereafter. Audio versions are also distributed to all podcast apps. However you are watching, listening, or absorbing via osmosis this podcast today, I thank you. Yes, you.
Content plug, Schmoopydady. Before we get into the main topic of the show tonight, I'd like to say a quick thank you to the patrons of our show. Your support means the world to us. If you enjoy this content, please like, subscribe, and comment on this video on YouTube. Another simple way to support the show is to leave a review on your podcast platform of choice. If you're watching live on Twitch, we've got some awesome emotes that you can unlock by subscribing to the channel. This is free if you use Amazon Prime. Finally, if you'd like to support the show financially, you can join our Patreon for as little as $1 per month. We have some channels in the Discord that are unlocked by subscribing to the Patreon, where you can see the show coming together each week. Check it out. If you'd like to interact with us personally, please join our Discord, a free and amazing online community of friends from all across the world who love talking about wild Hearthstone. Links to all this stuff and more, including our merch, can be found at our website, which is www.borntobewildhs.com. Hydra, how's your week?
Last week, we ended up doing the episode on Wednesday instead of Friday. Yeah, bit of a midweek. I had to do it early, and thank you for accommodating, because my parents were in town. And so they come, I don't know, once every 6 months, that kind of thing, stay for a little bit. And so we just played Vancouver Tourist. Basically, they came to the house, we had dinner. In our town that we live in, which is like Vancouver adjacent, they had this May Days fair thing going on. So we walked down there and all the local businesses got all their stuff going on. There's buskers and everything, like cheap hot dogs, beer gardens, that kind of stuff. So we did all that.
Ooh.
And then we went to Vancouver, and we also did this thing. And if you've ever been to Vancouver, there's this area called False Creek, which is downtown Vancouver, and we were just trying to actually kill time before the airport. But they have this thing called like downtown water taxi cruises, and they were super cheap. It was like $11, and you can go on a boat, and they take you around like the perimeter of downtown, like in the ocean. And they point out different buildings and stuff. So I took a couple pictures. So like the top one here, you can see like in the middle of it, that is the football stadium. That's where the BC Lions play.
Okay.
And then off to the right, in kind of like in the background, you can't see it as well. That's Rogers Arena, and that's where the Vancouver Canucks play hockey.
That's
and
a flat blue
it's-
building.
Yeah, over there.
To like off to the right, just barely.
Yeah, and so the one in the middle of the football stadium is pretty cool. So like it rains here in the winter a lot, so it has this completely collapsible roof. So they can have it open if it's like beautiful weather, but they can actually close the roof for when it's raining, which is pretty sweet, honestly, because nobody likes like playing football in the rain. And then the bottom picture is in the same area. This is called False Creek. It's just this, they call it False Creek because like a long time ago, this Spanish explorer was like, hey, we're going to follow this river inland. And then it just ends. And when you see this big ball, that's called Science World. It just stops.
Ooh.
That's where the river just stops. It comes to a dead stop there. And so the Spanish explorer called it False Creek. And it's all salt water, right?
Oh,
But
okay,
yeah,
sure.
so it's just this cheap little tour they take you around. I took a million more photos, but I wasn't gonna bother all the audio listeners with me talking about photos, right? But it was a really cool experience, just with my parents, and they were having fun, and they're older, right? So they're just like snapping pictures left and right, playing tourist. And we went to a place called Granville Island, which is its own little, like almost tourist village that has absolutely everything that you can imagine, which is awesome. A lot of fish markets and stuff. You could spend so much money there. It's really hard.
Yeah.
It's really hard not to.
Ooh, that looks good.
so-
Ooh, that looks good. Ooh, that looks good.
Oh yeah, like they've got those. You ever seen those tomahawk steaks that you could buy?
yes. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, I almost came home with all of the tomahawks. Right.
All the tomahawks.
And they're like $90 each.
Oh yeah.
Don't do it. Yeah. But yeah, it was a really good time. And so they left. When did they leave? Tuesday this week. So yeah, they went back to where they live, and that is Edmonton. So speaking of the Edmonton Oilers, they did just beat out the Vegas Golden Knights and
Get wrecked.
are continuing on in the playoffs, and will play either, I think it's the Jets or Dallas Stars next, depending on what happens. So super stoked about that. Last year was a bit of a letdown as Oilers did make it to the finals and lost in Game 7. It was sad.
Oh yeah.
But-
I remember that.
Yes, I was very sad. And so was Connor McDavid. He deserves a Stanley Cup. But yeah, so exciting times. Lots of hockey going on. I always appreciate that as you're Canadian on the podcast, as
It's required.
It is required. There must always be a Canadian.
There must always be
So
one.
we did that, and then I'm so close to finishing Dreamcatcher. I think on my audiobook, I'd have to check. Out of the like 20 some odd hours, I got about 3 hours left. I was hoping to finish today, but alas, I forgot my
you need a-
earbuds at home. And
I thought you were
didn't
gonna say.
get.
And then I had a pesky podcast I had to do.
Yeah. Yeah, this pesky podcast. No, I charged my earbuds and went out and then forgot to bring them with me. And that was a sad moment.
was it?
And I was not turning around. Yeah. And then the girl who loved Tom Gordon, I am on the same page that I've been on for like the last like 3 weeks. I have not had a chance. I've been doing so much yard work and stuff.
Oh, nice.
Like redid all of the patio furniture that we have out on our deck, and we've got crazy invasive vines that grow like mad in the backyard. So I've been doing a lot of cleanup of that and everything, making everything look good. I could spend hours outside every day just trying to trim everything up and make it look great.
yeah.
So yeah, it's a pain, but anyway, that's basically been my week. How about you, Schmoopydady? How was your week?
Sure. Schmoopy's been kicking. I usually start with my son's update. Schmoopy's been kicking butt at school. His behavior's been on a big upturn. I think something that's real positive that they did on their own. We didn't have to prompt it. Was he wasn't feeling too challenged like in the afternoons in his like self-contained style class. And his behavior's so good. They're like, well, he's gonna be, transitioning to what's called a either a blended classroom or what they would call like oh my goodness, what's the correct educational term? Essentially, it's like some of the more functional special ed students can kind of like push into a classroom with regular ed students, and it helps because the regular ed students are typically modeling like proper student behavior, and then the special ed students can they have that experience, but also sometimes there's like kids teaching kids, or just like in general it's just like, listen, you gotta get used to a normal environment anyway. You can't be in like the craziest that can be self-contained sometime forever. So he's been pushing into that in the afternoon, and he already knew some kids that were already in that class. So, like he's very gifted in math. So like he's like way ahead of the math that like they're doing in their class. Like he's learning multiplication at 7 years old in first grade. And I'm like, my mom tried to teach me multiplication one time, and I was just like, Mom, respectfully, I'm barely getting the addition and the subtraction right now. You gotta leave that for later. Yeah. I would later
take
go
the
on to
times
teach
table
physics.
away.
Right. I would later go on to teach physics, but like at the time it was like, nah, I'm not about it. But no, he's loving it. He's doing great. We just got to work on him being nice to his sister in the afternoons. In the afternoons, he sort of is like, he's like, I don't know what it is, Dad. She just annoys me. I'm like, well, it's because you guys are so similar, and your brother and sister, and that's going to happen. You guys are just going to annoy each other, and you have to figure out how to coexist with one another.
Oh, you know what? But you reminded me of physics, and I just thought of you because you were talking about it. So my son's now in high school physics, right? And he's coming to me with his homework, and I'm like, let's put on my Schmoopydady cap, because he's got these questions that are like, I have a 3.2 kilogram weight. I throw it in the air with this amount of force. It's gonna go so high. But then by that, it's going to peak at this spot. But by the time it falls and hits the ground, how fast was it? This, like at the moment of hitting the ground, how fast was it going? And so, you have to figure out how fast it was at the top. Then you have to use 9.81 to figure out like the acceleration due to gravity, and then how fast it's going to be when it fell, like a meter and a half
basically
or whatever.
at sea level, right? You guys are basically at sea level, so that 9.81 is probably pretty true for you guys. I don't know how high you are above sea level. That's 9.81 is considered.
We are at we're almost directly at sea level. Yeah.
I went to college at a place that was higher enough elevation that they're like, well, around us it's like really like more like 9.6. And if you go deep underground, you start getting closer to 10. So like it's like it's funny that it does vary, and it's worth mentioning to the students that it does vary, but like for most courses, it's accepted to be 9.8. If you want to get real freaking technical, you can say 9.81 like a nerd. But usually I drop off the one, just call 9.8. For the class that I teach, I round it to 10. We're just going to call it 10, which I think you'd appreciate as like a shop guy, engineering dude, where it's just like, we just need the estimate. We don't need 5 decimals out, guys. This is either going to be close and it's not worth the risk, or it's way over and we're perfectly happy with that. So like that's kind of where we're at.
I didn't mean to be nerdy when I said 9.81, but that's what I learned. And then when I was saying it to my son, he's like, "No, Dad, it's just 9.8. There's no 1." I was like, "Yeah, there's a 1." And then he shows me the formula.
Yeah, no, it does go out. Yeah, you can tell him
it wasn't there, and I was like,
I remember it being there. That Schmoopydady says there's a 9.81 there, but like no one uses it. Only your nerdy dad does. So like there you go. Yeah. So that it will both confirm and also undermine you at the same time, which is I think the perfect outcome for it to resonate with your son. So yeah, no. So taking the teacher's hat off, we played Zenless Zone Zero for the first time this week. Was that last time? Did I talk to you about that? I think that was the last pod. I'm so messed up because like it was Wednesday, but then we know I was going to do it, but I hadn't done it yet. So I was gonna. We've talked about Mystery Science Theater before. I love Mystery Science Theater, and so I was planning on, again, it was for those who didn't listen to last week's episode or the last episode that we had. I joined a campaign to play and stream Zenless Zone Zero for 2 hours on stream, and the idea behind it was like half my chat plays it anyway. And they're like, Schmoopydady, you got to play the gotcha games. Play the gotcha games. And so as like a impart, like, well, this is like an easy $70. I do it for 2 hours, whatever. As like an easy way, I wasn't going to do it at all, but then they were very enthusiastic. Like, no, you should do it. It'll be fun. And so half my chat plays it anyway. And I throw it on, I do the stream. And like I was gonna Mystery Science Theater it going in, where I'd be like, oh, this is funny, this is goofy, this is dumb, this is not dumb. And then I started reading like the do's and the do nots for the sponsorship stream, and it's like you can't talk about anything. It's like, okay, for like the hardest one for me was no profanity. I'm like, are you kidding me? No profanity? Like I record this podcast and Hydra has to make little edits from time to time that you probably don't notice at home. But it's just like a different environment. But like if I'm streaming and playing in a game and goofing off, like I'm swearing like a sailor. And so that part was hard. But then also they're like, well, and obviously we're not talking about the sexualization of any of the characters, but like the entire game, it's like designed for like that very thing. So like they're saying it's not one thing, and you can't call a spade, you have to call it a diamond. And like I'm just sort of sitting there, and it's a very different. I ended up enjoying the game. Like the gameplay is actually really cool, and the lore is really interesting. But the handbrake that like I couldn't like full on be like, look at that, and like just sort of like just goofing off as far as like this is ridiculous, and I'm calling this out for what this is right now. I couldn't really do that, and so it felt a little bit. I felt a little muted. It's also weird streaming a game that isn't Hearthstone. Hearthstone is like perfect for streaming stuff, and I know you've streamed it before too, where it's like you make your play or you're talking out your play, and there's a natural cadence, and then like you do something else, and there's like, oh wait, they're talking now. It's plot. Do I talk over the plot? Do I not talk over the plot? I'm just gonna let the plot go.
For the words, the plot in the game, is there actual voice lines, or do you have to read?
Yeah, there's voice lines, and sometimes you have to read it, and sometimes there's text, and then you're like, do I read the text? Can chat read the text?
Like I don't watch a lot of other streamers, but I still watch Rod Johnston, who used to stream Hearthstone.
Sure.
And he always he plays those Shizuka games, and there's so many, like no one's speaking. There's just a lot of text, unless they are speaking and they're speaking in Japanese.
So is he reading it, or is he skip through it?
And he reads like any game, or he also just does these like sort of mystery games, or you'll open a drawer and find a letter, and you have to read the letter. There's no text. There's no actual voice line. It's just text. And so he'll read the entire thing, and that's what I've gotten used to. So I think you reading it is fine.
Well, it was really funny because like half the time I was reading it, and then half the time I was like over clicking like a dumb monkey past it. So I was like, oh well, I hope that wasn't important. and
then people get to figure out how well you read.
And like another aspect of it too is like, okay, so like that's you can't talk over the plot, but then you're actually playing the game, and it's like a fast paced hack and slash with like strategy and stuff. So like I can't. I am just learning the controls. There's timing. It's quick. I have no time to talk to chat or read chat at all while I'm in those sequences, because you'll just get blown away. So it was like really interesting. It was a really interesting challenge as like I'm used to streaming Hearthstone, and now I'm streaming something completely different that felt completely out of my comfort zone as far as like when do I actually interact with chat? And on top of the rules of like, okay, but you also have to mute the kind of content you normally make. It was weird. It was just a weird experience. I'd probably do it again, but I might do it a little differently and risk like not getting the payout if it means that I have more fun doing it. I don't know, but
yeah,
it was fun to do once.
I highly doubt they send a mod to every single person's stream.
It's probably just a lawyer, right? Like a lawyer wrote it, and a lawyer said, like, if things really go south and like this is your sponsorship, they're not liable and they don't have to pay you, right? Like that's why it's probably written that way, and I probably should have accepted that, but I was nervous about it working in the first place. So second time around, I'll probably run it a little bit differently. But that was right. One experience I had this week for sure. Yeah,
because what are they going to do? Pay you and a mod to go in your chat and make sure that you follow the rules? Like, I highly doubt it. I think if you got reported randomly or something, then they would act.
Right, and a clip gets to them and they're like, oh God, no. He did what? So like that's probably the situation I was in, and I took it very seriously, and I was just like, nope, can't mention other games, can't do any fun things. I could mention gambling, which was weird. Gambling was left off of the do not talk about list, which, considering it's a gacha game, it's like that seems like a loophole, but maybe they legally can't stop you from talking about, hey, this is gambling. So that's fine. We didn't do any gambas. That wasn't anything that we did on stream, but
is there ads?
But that was new. What? Well, I had to do like a banner, and I had to do like a little clip in my corner, and like, I don't know, little technical things. They actually made it really easy to do, which is good because I suck at that kind of thing. So like they made the production values like basically like plug and play, which was cool. The most nerve-wracking thing I had to do was run OBS on administrative mode, and then find the correct resolution for the game to fit my wonky windows, since I stream on one screen. So like I had to find the right screen size so that it fit on my OBS capture. For like the first half of the game that I was playing, like parts of the game were cut off because I didn't have the right resolution, and people were like, I can't see the whole game. I'm like, I don't care, shut up. And like we were just doing it anyway. Until I was comfortable enough to figure out how to fix it. So when in doubt, just blind aggression. Along those personal streaming lines and goals, though, the YouTube is coming along. I think like I don't remember if it was last weekend. It might have been last weekend. Oh my God. Last weekend I was at like, woohoo, I passed 800 subs. We're at like 918. Like we're very, very, very close to full monetization for ads and stuff, which is very exciting. Because when I started doing the YouTube stuff, I don't know. I didn't think anybody would actually like give a crap enough to watch, or it'd be worth watching. So it's really cool to see that things are picking up a bit. And we've been having some wins in the community. Friends are getting Twitch partner. KVLT recently just got Twitch partner. Curly Wordy got Twitch partner not that long ago. She mostly streams standard now, but she was a former Wild streamer, and she dips her toe in Wild. If you play in the Curly Cup and you play against Curly, she'll play Wild against you, and know what she's doing. She's a good player. So, it's cool to feel like you're on like, this little bit of momentum building. So that's been fun too. The only other thing is mini set goofiness. Yeah, like just like, streaming the mini set and the nonsense that's come from it. And we can touch a little bit more on that later down in the discussion topic. But I don't know. General thoughts in the patch is it's actually kind of a strange place where Hearthstone is right now, where Wild has a goofy new deck that we get to talk about that's like goofy for all the wrong reasons, and Arena is almost unplayable because you have to draft either Priest or Death Knight, and then you're stuck playing value matchups until your Arena run is done. And Standard has its own issues, which we could talk about with the mini set. And Standard has a brawl going on, a heroic brawl, and it's like the worst meta for one of these brawls. So like, yeah, Hearthstone's in a weird spot, and Wild's kind of like Wild and BG's is apparently amazing, but Wild is kind of like the best part, and I'm sort of awaiting adjustments from the mini set. So that would be my week. What's the news this week?
Welcome to the news. The news is so good.
All right, so since we last talked, there's actually been 2 patches like that happened really fast. There was 32.2.2 and 32.2.3.
I don't think you can have 2 patches because they banned him from the Tavern Brawl. You can't have 2 patches anymore. You can't do him big in patches anymore. They stopped that.
That's so rude. That's so rude. First you take away his charge.
Now you're keeping him out of the Tavern Brawl. Has he not suffered enough indignity?
Come on. And you turned him into a meatball.
We don't talk about the meatball. We don't talk about the
So, in patch 32.2.2, we got a developer comment stating, there are no Hearthstone mode balance changes in this patch because we'd like to see how the new mini set cards influence the shape of the format before making other changes. The next balance window is coming shortly after launch, which is where we'll take a look at meta outliers, new or existing. We also have another balance window before the next expansion, early in June. So put that on your calendar in case we need to make additional adjustments then. So this was basically them just telling us, hey, we got a mini set, not going to do anything right now. Let's see what happens. Just sit tight. If there's something that's annoying you, well, maybe the mini set will have some influence on that and your meta will switch it up or something like that. But just a warning from them that nothing was gonna happen. I'll talk about some bug fixes, but do you have any comments on that?
No, like this is again, I think they're trying to change up they're trying to change up the patch cadence to be more comfortable for them. And so like they're doing weird stuff with this expansion where like things are in odd places that we're not used to. For example, we have a heroic brawl before we have balance changes post mini set. In fact, we're having a heroic brawl after the mini set, which I think is the first time they've ever done that. Reddit's been, been like, well, they're trying to take our gold before we have the mini set, and like they've been all upset about it. And so like this is the first time they don't do that, and it was a gamble, and it looks like the gamble's a little bit goofy. So like, yeah, I mean, I think that's okay. And this was the first balance patch. This was last week, right? So like they're giving it some time to breathe. If they're going to do something, then we'd expect them to do something next week anyway, if something's going to happen. So that's fine.
Yeah. Yep, agreed. And so yeah, so there was Battleground stuff that happened, but we're not a Battlegrounds podcast, so the only thing that actually would possibly affect us was there was under the bug fixes and game improvements section. It's actually funny. I scrolled through. I put in the show notes before this 1 million BGs changes. It's when your scroll bar is like this tiny little thing, and you're just like scrolling down and down and down. I'm like, whoa! There's like so many, like that. The Battlegrounds team is probably huge.
They change one BG's minion, and they give you like the original, and they give you the original in golden, because like again, the golden copies are functionally like an upgraded version of the card, right? So they have to show you the normal, they have to show you the golden, and then they have to show you the new normal, and they have to show you the new golden, even if the new golden didn't change. So it's like it is just like pages and pages and pages and pages of images And sometimes they don't even do the images. Sometimes they just adjust so much at once that it's just text of like what the card is and what the change is, and it's still like 13 pages. It's incredible.
Yeah. So Patch Note Steve really doing his job on the Battlegrounds patch notes, because that's a
good job, Patch Note Steve. I like that guy.
Yeah, does a good job. So under the bug fixes and game improvements, which is at the very, very bottom for everyone who doesn't play Battlegrounds, they have in brackets Hearthstone. So under the Hearthstone mode, fixed a bug where players who got Creature of Madness from opening and into the Emerald Dream Pack, so meaning after the initial claim period, only got 1 copy instead of 2. After this fix is live, we will do a separate grant to affected players so that they get their second copy. I had no idea that was a thing, but you were getting 1 instead of both. Did you know that was happening?
No.
Like,
I think I have 2. But
I think I should have 2. What's funny is if you have the 100% collection in your sort of like achievement section or whatever, it says that you've got 100%. That only actually means that you have at least 1 copy of everything. Yes. So like, yeah, if you don't have both, it's not going to tell you don't have both under there. So like if I type in missing, there's a couple epics here and there that I don't have 2 copies of. That there's like no reason.
Yeah, you gotta do like missing,
I
believe, in the search bar. Missing should bring up everything that you're obviously. Yeah,
so I'd go and check if you have 1 or 2 copies of Creature of Madness, everyone. So apparently they're fixing that. But that was the patch 32.2.2, and then earlier today we were given 32.2.3. It's a mouthful. So this patch is a server-side hotfix patch only, which was rolling out earlier today with a few bug fixes, and once again changes to Battlegrounds. So this is a summary done on Hearthstone, and if you look, it's like 80% Battleground stuff, but at the bottom we've got bug fixes and game improvements, the Hearthstone section. Charred Chameleon's battle cry effect now only targets friendly minions, as it should. So I'm guessing there was something wrong there where you were able to use the battle cry.
I guess you were able to attach it on an enemy. Yeah, oops.
Yeah,
that would have been mean.
That's kind of funny though. It's like, who would have tried? You're like, hey, wait, this works up here.
Yeah, maybe some fringe, maybe it's exploitable in some fringe situations when you want something to trade off and die. Like, I don't know. Like, that's not ideal.
Anyway, yeah, and then fixed an issue with Amphibian Spirit effect resulting in the game when it's stacked.
So Amphibian Spirit, again, it's like one of these death rattles that triggers, but then if you can trigger it twice, it's like it's stacking the death rattles. So I wonder if there was some way where like it wasn't stopping properly and it was just going infinite, and so Hearthstone in those situations tends to just sort of give up. So you know what? I didn't even want to figure out who was going to win that game anyway, and it calls it a tie, and you move on. So that makes a lot of sense to me.
And then a wild specific bug fix / game improvement. Fleethoof, Peril Tusk, corrupt effect now correctly add stats. So it wasn't adding the
probably
correct
can't even visualize
stats.
This card.
No, that's why I was like, Pearl Tusk? Fleethoof Pearl? And who figured this out? Hold on.
Well, that's what I want to know. It was doubling instead of giving +4/+4. Oops. Oh, it was a Mark deck. Well, there you go. Mark Mark was made aware of the bug and thus made a deck about it. Well, there you go. So I wanted to be the fly on the wall that wrote the Reddit article that was just like, I was doing my Fleethoop Pearl Tusk OTK, and I figured out that this was not working properly, and I would like for it to work properly. Or let's exploit this bug and hit rank 1.
Okay, so I have just a challenge for you because you might be able to, but could you read me what you think the card states?
I think it's a 5 mana. It's a 5 mana 5/5 with Rush. That's a beast, and then I already know from Millsy it gets +4/+4 when corrupted.
You're extremely close. Extremely. The only thing you're off on is its stat line. It's a 5 mana 4/4.
Oh, it's Rush. A 5 mana 4/4. Ew.
Yeah. Corrupt gain +4/+4 beast. Not a 5/5. So it needs to be corrupt to be good.
Yeah. Well, I remember it needing to be corrupt to be good, but I thought it was better. And that's the thing. Like modern cards these days, that would be a 5/5, right? Like they would just release it normally as a 5/5, or maybe in this set they'd make it a 3/3. But like normally they'd release it at the modern power level as like a 5/5, and then have the effect afterwards. So that's interesting.
Yeah. Well, that was our wild specific update. Woo!
Naughty. Let's calm down now. Feeling a little too much of a rush after that last one. Oh no.
And then last but not least, we do have the Heroic Brawl is back for this week's Tavern Brawl. So a couple things to be noted. This is played with standard deck building rules. And it's just like build the deck with any class that you choose. And so the gimmick is that entering the brawl costs gold or real money, but the rewards now range from 1 pack up to 50 packs.
Wow.
1,100 dust, 1,100 gold, and 3 golden legendaries. So that's a lot of stuff. 50 packs, 1,100 dust, 1,100 gold, and 3 golden legendaries. That's pretty good. Winning more rewards is cool for me, but obviously it's hard to do, right? But have you got your 12 win? You've done 12 win runs, haven't you?
In Wild, yeah. Yeah, I got 2 in Wild.
The Wild one.
The last Wild one I got 2 with Skipper Warrior because it was really good into Miracle Rogue and a lot of the other aggro decks that were, not other aggro decks, but it was good into the aggro decks that were popular at the time. And so I stumbled on like a Chinese list, changed it slightly, and then brought it to 12 wins twice. Once on stream, which was really fun.
That's cool.
That was really fun over 2 days. Yeah, I'm hearing from Yo Daddy in a Discord server that he's on 10 wins in his brawl, and he's facing 10-minute queues. I don't get the sense. I don't know about you. Like I've been watching standard streamers, and I'm gonna say that 90% of them, when I tune into them, are just playing ladder. Like they're not messing with the brawl at all. It's a really polarized. It's kind of a gross meta. Imbue Hunter's very good. Do you know about the Imbue Hunter hotness?
Is it nuts over there? Is it everywhere?
So with the mini set, you get to copy a beast in your hand. So you make like the only beast in your deck, King Plush, and you make him like a 0 mana 15/6, and then you copy him, and you just OTK people because like nobody has a taunt that's that big, and you're doing this pretty consistently by turn 5 or 6, and wow. It's changed people's perspective from like people were complaining about Kill Jaden or complaining about Wheel of Death. And like, there's a great clip of No Hands Gamer like doing the combo, being like, "We deserved this. Like, you were complaining about the wrong things, and now we have this." And so it's a little bit of a mess. There are a couple decks that can beat it consistently. You can kind of aggro it down, which means when my chat tries to make a wild version and send it to me, it's almost always a stupid idea, because like I'm facing Shadow Priest and just dying, right? Just rolling over in the mud and dying. So like it's not worth doing in wild. It's just like the dumb thing that you do in standard when you have time and space to pull it off, and it's really degenerate there, because it's like it's just gross that you're always winning. So it's a dirty rat meta for them, which is why Death Knight does pretty well, because Deathrite has like enough room to run the disruption that's needed to kind of get there, and also like get its health to a point where it's out of, it can buy time just on the basis of it's gaining so much health. And it looks like people are trying some stuff with Rogue, because you can kind of go under it, but like at one point 30% of the meta was like Imbue Hunter, so like that's never a fun standard meta when
that's
like
gross.
Everybody's like doing the same thing. And what was interesting about the timing of this brawl was, again, I think we talked about it before the show, but it's worth mentioning now. They took a risk running the brawl now. It's before any balance patch on the mini set, and it's after the mini set. Traditionally, this has come before the mini set, to the point where Red is always saying they're trying to steal our gold before the mini set. Right, that's always been. I've been using that voice a lot tonight. It's always been the rallying cry. Is that everybody is like kind of like pissed off that they have that they they're giving them this big shiny carrot to spend all their gold on before the mini set comes, because they don't want us buying the mini set. Clearly, they don't want us buying the mini set with our gold. They want us using money. And so they took a risk this time and just ran it as is. And unfortunately for the devs, it's an unbalanced meta. I don't necessarily blame them for trying either. Like they did make it. They did try to incentivize it by making the rewards a little bit better. Game balance is tough, and you never really know exactly how it's going to play out when you release the cards. They can do as much testing as they want, but they can't test as much as thousands upon thousands upon thousands of players. So I don't actually blame them for this one, because like
no,
it's a scenario for me that I think like game balance is hard. Like some people would say, "Oh, you could have seen this coming a mile away." It's like, okay,
I hate that.
Oh, okay, buddy. Sure you could.
That one's
I'm sure you could have
been driving me crazy for years. Like, how could the devs not see that this would happen? And it's like, yeah, like they all work in one building. I mean, I know that since COVID, people work remotely and all that sort of stuff across the country, but like millions of people playing a game are going to figure out the broken thing, not like the team of say like 100 people that's working on the game.
Well, then they should hire more people, Hydra. It's like, guys, like they're churning out 3 sets and 3 mini sets a year. Like they're already they're gonna balance this one. They're already working on the next set. Like they're just like, this is like just like playing out right now. So yeah, like they took a risk, and I think it's a little unfortunate. I kind of referenced it. Like Arena kind of sucks right now because it needs a little bit more hands-on balance than they necessarily want to give Arena. But also, when is the new Arena coming? Like they might not want to do anything at all, because it's like a moot point. They're going to change everything and flip it on its head when Underground comes, in theory. Standard is a mess, with Hunter for sure, with some players being like, that's it, I'm not going to play competitively until this is fixed. You can play Imbue Druid. That is another deck that you can play that seems to do okay. I think because you can do a little more aggro into it, but yeah, no. Limited decks are available in Standard, and the meta's kind of cursed. And then Wild's got our discussion topic that's coming up with funny new OTK, and like an actual pure like infinite damage OTK, not like a usual dumb Reddit. Well, I've already dealt 47 damage to my opponent, but here's the OTK I pull out to win on one turn. It's like, it's not an OTK if you've done it over multiple turns. You goddamn nerd. Sorry, I got grumpy for a second. So, but yeah, it's like Hearthstone's in a weird spot where it's like, well, what mode do I play? It's probably wild, but we need to talk about some stuff there.
Yeah, well, without further ado, we can jump into the discussion topic, and yeah, we'll first talk about the deck that we've been alluding to. So that's the Juggler Rogue that you've probably run into if you've been playing over the last few days. That so Schmoopydady had plopped this into the Discord. Saying let's talk about this deck, and I was like, oh, let's take a look at that. And you had made a video actually where you played this deck, and I watched your first win, and then I exited your video. I'm sorry, I did not finish the video.
No, that's okay. That's okay.
Because unfortunately I didn't need to see it. I didn't need to see you do it more times, because we've talked about simple combos,
So simple.
right?
Yes.
And so like OTK Paladin, and maybe they've realized that our brains are fried in Wild, and they like to give us these easier combos these days or something.
I think it's the opposite. I think you're seeing a natural... No, this is a natural evolution of the format. Like, combos get more and more streamlined, which in some cases means they're getting easier and easier to play. And this one is, like, super simple. You get... what's she called? Spirit Singer, Spell Singer? Spirit Singer, Umbra.
Spirit Singer, Umbra.
And she's a 4-mana 3/4 that, like, whenever you play a Death Rattle minion, it's going to trigger the Death Rattle, so that's an important thing to keep in mind. You put out your Knife Juggler, put a sample on your head, right? Like, you put a Knife Juggler out, and then you play a coin, or you play just like enough cards to make a new card, Everburning Phoenix, costs 0. It's a 4-mana 2/2 that costs 1 less for each card that you've played this turn, and has a death rattle of return this card to your hand. So you drop Phoenix, and it dies. Presumably after you've already done like the Juggler and the Umbra. It dies instantly because the Umbra. Knife Juggler throws a knife. The Phoenix returns to your hand. It costs 0. You play the Phoenix. The Knife Juggler throws a knife. The Phoenix dies because of Umbra, returns to your hand. Rinse, repeat. The only thing holding this deck back is animations. Animations are the only thing. And actually, I initially thought that this deck was completely unfrickin' playable, and was typing in all caps on Discord about how overhyped it was, because I tried it on mobile. And on mobile, you have to wait for the Phoenix card to turn green before you can take it and play it. Whereas on PC, I was able to grab the Phoenix when it turned blue. So not quite the smoky of the Echo card initially coming back into hand, but just before that phase that it turns green, I could probably squeeze in over a turn an extra 5 to 10 Phoenixes if I timed it right. So it turned it from being unplayable on mobile versus very, very playable on PC. We had a very early the list that we're featuring now. EU player Pachaz hit rank 1 with it. So like, and he was like, you know, taking out 40 health decks in a turn. Sometimes with one Knife Juggler and one Phoenix. I will say that if you have to take out a high health opponent, you do need to either hold out for 2 Jugglers or 1 Juggler, 2 Phoenixes, because it's a little bit faster. It's also worth noting that there are some lists that cut a Juggler for Scabs, so that you can sometimes combo off a little bit sooner. In general, statistically, those decks have not looked as good. That build hasn't looked as good. Maybe it's harder. Maybe it's Maybelline. I don't know. Maybe it's worse. But this deck does look like it's the best in the format. Its win rate has been the highest since the mini set has come out. It's got a large enough sample size. It continues to be one of the highest. It is so hard to disrupt, because you rat a Knife Juggler, who cares? They run another Knife Juggler. You rat a Phoenix, really, who cares? What? It's going to die and go back into your hand? Like, you really don't care. There are no battle cries, right? You'd have to drop a Razor Scale or like a Death Warden. You might be like, what is Death Warden? It's a 3-mana 2/5 that prevents death rattles from triggering. So like you need some sort of extreme tech to really handle it. I haven't seen a lot of razor scales, but this deck is just really nasty, a nasty piece of work. And I was just telling Hydra that when I did my video for this deck, it got an above average amount of views. It's doing very well. Great impression click rate. People see it. They've been clicking on it. That's great. The average view duration is 4 minutes and 55 seconds. And I would bet anything that the 4 minutes and 55 seconds are right when my first game with the deck ends, because people do exactly what Hydra did, which is take the deck and run with it. And Hydra, were you able to pull it off?
Yeah, totally. Like actually first game. I lost my second game because I thought I could combo off a turn earlier, and I messed.
You went in and you were like,
concede.
oh, yeah, I got you.
Yeah, I went on turn 4, and I was like, I've got a coin. I think this is gonna work, and I like didn't math it out, and I was like, oh no, and it didn't work out. Yeah. So that didn't. But yeah, very first game, and then actually, I even had a game where I drew absolutely horribly. It was like turn 6. I didn't have everything yet, and I just had this like full hand, and I was afraid of like drawing more cards because I'm gonna like burn cards and all this stuff. And my opponents, like, they could tell what I'm playing, and they actually just conceded because they're like, it's turn 6 and this guy's got 10 cards in his hand. So
you must have the nuts. I'm out.
And I didn't have it, which is so funny.
Martian was saying that too. And even in my video, there's a game that I won. The rope was burning. The guy was at like 23, and he concedes because it's like you can't tell. You can't tell. This is an animation cheat deck too, and we can talk about that with like clients and animations in a little bit. But at the top end where players are animation cheating from time to time, whether it's on a burner account or a real account. The amount of damage you can deal, it's not literally infinite, but it's in the hundreds. And the way you can kind of tell if somebody animation cheated against you with this deck seems to be, since it's very hard to tell otherwise, if they've killed you before the rope is like even started burning, and you're playing like an XL deck, like that's a big red flag. So it's obviously happening, and it's unfortunate that this is the sort of thing to happen. I didn't think this deck was going to be any good when we saw we saw this combo coming, and I had somebody in my chat that was just like, "Oh, Schmoopy, do you think this is going to be any good?" I was like, "No." Have you seen the Knife Juggler animations? The animations of this card coming, like the Phoenix coming back to hand, it's going to be another Grove Shaper situation where we have this infinite mill combo right now in Wild that nobody plays, because even if you animation cheat with it, it sucks. Like, so I don't, I expected it to be much the same this way, and that's the problem is the Phoenix comes back so fast that it does enable the combo.
I didn't try playing on mobile. One of my first thoughts was this is going to be like trying to play Snip Snap on mobile, which just didn't really work. It was just way too slow. Yeah. But I wasn't even waiting for the card to turn green. I just knew where the card was going to appear on the right side of my hand, and I just got like a rhythm going, basically.
Nice.
And just click, slide, let go, click, slide, let go, and you get just into like a solid rhythm with it. At first, I was kind of like playing them both almost at the same time and waiting for them both to come back and going like that, but eventually it's just like perfectly alternating. And yeah, even if they have a little bit of a board, you could still get through it. I would imagine if somebody had a big board with high health minions, you're just completely hooped. And unless you could probably tell. Right? I was just gonna say, you could tell if they're cheating. Like if you were playing like, I don't know. Let's say you are on Q block and you've got like this massive board, and your opponent beats you. They're cheating, right? Like that just has to be the case. Because it's way too hard to get through it all. But like the smaller boards, if they got 3 or 4 minions, you could still do it. And I was able to push through some of those boards. I also would try to Like if you're facing like a paladin that's, dropping like ones, like either their hero power or just like any small minions, I was trying to kind of clear them with my face, like my weapon, just to make sure they stayed off the board, because they're either going to get buffed or they're just a target to be hit by your knife juggler. So try to keep those clear as you're going. There's also, what's the card that deals 3 damage? Is that Serrated Bone Spike?
Yes.
3 damage to a minion. That's a good one too.
Yeah, and like that can help you get the combo off a little quicker if you can do prep Serrated. That cheats you 2 mana for free. So like there's like it's, and we've talked in the past, like you're not typically an APM player. Like you don't typically go to the APM decks as much. And
no,
you were winning with this.
Yes.
so it's like very doable as long as you're on PC and not mobile. I would like to stress that, because again, I've done the stress testing. It's not worth the aggravation. And so like, Astral Communion is another deck that is kind of popular right now, that because it got some new cards or cards that you could play in it. So like there are some decks with some big bodies out there. I mean, if we really want to do like the really dumb tech, we can run the rogue minion in this that gives a minion toxic, and then like, as a combo, and then now you give your knife juggler combo, and then minions aren't a problem anymore. But like that slows down getting the pieces to the combo. This is basically Juggler Rogue, but for babies. Like it filters the minions the same way. It's roughly the same number of minions. It's, in fact, Mark Makes did like a day 1 combo of this deck. And I was like, man, this list is kind of clean. This is like better than like a lot of his first builds for things. And then somebody pointed out to me that he didn't cut the Deafens from the deck. Like he just literally like net decked a Draka list, took out some minions and put in the combo minions, which made a lot of sense. So
gotcha.
Yeah, like this is happening. It's the best deck in Wild. You should try it while it exists, because this is the sort of thing that doesn't typically exist very long in Wild. It's obnoxious to sit through. The mirrors are stupid. Pack your evasions. It's a race, but it's a dumb race, because like evasion is like, are you running evasion? Are you not running evasion? Are you running step? Are you not running step? Like, are you juggling? Are you sending out a juggler on 2 and then stepping it back, and now you have like an extra 2 mana banked for a turn later, right? Like that's the kind of trick that you can do to speed up in the that you can high roll and then speed up in the mirror. But like, who's to say that you also have playable cards and can do that combo? So I wanted to talk a little bit about the client and animations. So we've talked about in the past, like, should animations be something to limit a combo? Should it not be there? But this is an issue that's going to keep getting brought up, because the client is 10 years old. And what I wanted to ask you more than anything is, what annoys you about a deck like this more? Is it the fact that you lose to one of these miracle type decks, or is it the fact that you have to sit around and find out that you've lost?
Oh, it's the sit around and find out, because I think we discussed, it's possibly last episode, that I will try, if I'm playing like a hostage mage or whatever, I will play that game through, because there's a chance they didn't have everything. And I just want to see if I can actually win, right? But in the end, I may have just wasted.
Especially this deck, because like you could have a board state that they can't get through. It is possible. You can out armor.
Yeah. So I like the possibility of, maybe being an underdog, but like pulling through. Like I like that. And yes, possibly wasting more time, could have, conceded and won a different game. But I think, it's the fact that I am gonna sit through it. We talked earlier about how I versed somebody and I had a whole handful of cards and they just conceded because I was on turn 6 and had 10 cards in my hand. So they just assumed I was gonna win. They didn't want to waste their time. But I'm not I don't like doing that.
But that's a tilt concede, right? Like that's a tilt concede because they're on the asynchronous part of the animations, and they're not waiting to see whether or not you get there or not. And so I wonder if a deck like this would really get nerfed if in some way the animations were not an issue. Like I almost wonder if it's not the power level of the deck at some point. Like this one is the best in Wild. So like with like a solid 60% win rate. And it's animation exploitable. So it's probably going to die, right? Like it's the kind of deck that they target.
They have to figure out how to stop the animation cheaters, though, because I feel like the Band-Aid is like, let's say this gets, the axe, right? And it's because they haven't figured out a way to stop animation cheating. Like that's the Band-Aid that's going on instead of the root cause, because animation cheating can affect an infinite amount of decks, right? But if it's a
mod for some players, like you can I know like there are Chinese players that run like it as a mod on their deck tracker, and they'll play like Reno Priest. Like they just want to play quickly.
What's insane to me is, so let's go back to like the year 2000 or something, right? So playing the original StarCraft, and I was playing with all these guys, and they're like, hey, you can install this map hack mod, and then you don't have Fog of War in the game, right? So you can see where your enemy is if you install this, right? And I was like, cool, I'm gonna install that. I installed it. I tried to log into BattleNet. CD key instantly banned just from logging in while the software was installed. I didn't even get to try to use it. Like I had to go buy myself a new CD, a new StarCraft disc.
Get wrecked
because I tried. I didn't even get to use it. I didn't even get to like the pleasure. I think that maybe I had downloaded off of like Kazaa or Napster, like the old version or something of the map hack, and like because they've learned to ban those ones, but maybe there was like a later version that they haven't learned how to detect or something. But what's always blown my mind about StarCraft back then and Hearthstone now is that game, they did stuff that we've been asking for in Hearthstone for a long time. You could save your replay and watch it in client of your entire match. And you cannot do that in Hearthstone, which is like mind-blowing to me that you just can't do that. And then something else like with having mods, right? If there's a mod, an add-on or whatever, they used to be able to detect it back then. I don't know how, but they can't detect it now.
Yeah, I think when they do it, I think when people end up doing it in Hearthstone, they end up like it's all local changes, like your code on your side of things, and so it's not something that Blizzard is necessarily scanning for, and doesn't pick it up. Which is when we see, proof of, blatant animation cheating, that's when you start having like. You can message Hat and be like, hey, this guy's doing it, and Hat talks to a guy and the guy's gone, right? Like with like they can do things like they can look at, okay, well, how many actions per turn did this person do? And I've even seen KVLT, who's an avid miracle deck enjoyer. Maybe we put a cap to the number of actions that you can perform in a turn. Like maybe that's like, I don't know how easy that is to program in, but maybe that's the ultimate solution that you have to go to, where you're like, you figure out what is a reasonable number of actions a turn in a Hearthstone game. Is it 10? Is it 15? Is it 20? And then you just say, okay, you can't do any more than this. Like the client will stop you. Your turn will end. Like you can't go beyond this. Is that good enough to do that? Now I know they can like look at look back and see, okay, yeah, this person played X number and it's blatantly obvious that they've done it. The worst was when we had, again, Spell Ignite mage where your deck was all spells and like there's no way you were ever getting it off without cheating. Because they're just the discover animations were way too slow on all the cards. So it was all whenever you faced a spell ignite mage and they were winning and they were anywhere high in MMR, you knew they were cheating and you could report them easily. But this is it's a little bit more black and white in a lot of other decks. It's a little bit more black and white in a lot of other decks.
Believe it or not, I've actually played spell ignite mage recently because I had a whole bunch of quests about playing lots of spells.
Did you really?
Yeah, like within the last couple days. I sleeved it up and I just kept playing it just because.
You had just cause. Doesn't even work anymore. The girls nerfed. Like, we got to get you on Quest Mage. You got to play Quest Mage, man. That's the new cool thing, and that even runs the new cards. There are new this mini set. This mini set seems to have given us like 3 cards: Everburning Phoenix. The druid location that I don't want to mispronounce because like Saladrasil, which like Twitch chat has just referred to calling salad dressing, right? Because they can't say Saladrasil. I called it Shamalalala Ding Dong once, because I think I was doing it. Was I doing a card review? It might have been my card review. I don't even remember, but I might have been a little buzzed. Regardless, like I don't want to know how to say the tree location. Just the tree location Druid just got. It's looked really good. It's looked really good in Astral Communion Druid, which yes, Astral Communion Druid is a real meta deck. It's looked good in Malikos Druid. It's looked amazing in Imbue Druid and Standard. It's one of the highest win rate mole cards. Like you get it out, and it facilitates some disgusting turns. That's a good card. That's a solid card in Wild. Even Reno Druid likes it, and Reno Druid wasn't sure they were going to like it. And so we got Phoenix, we got the Druid card, and we got there's one other. Oh, the new fire Smoldering Grove, the new draw spell for Mage. That one's good too, and you can play that in fun stuff like Quest Mage. Quest Mage fun? Yeah, Quest Mage is fun. Quest Mage is like a tier 3 hipster deck. All right, calm down. You get one turn. So like that's another fun deck that you could play a bunch of spells in.
For this deck, other than combo pieces that you want in your hand, what do you think we want to have in the mulligan? I know Quick Pick is like awesome because it's good to remove early minions and you're drawing. What else would you want to keep here in your mulligan?
I was a terrible Pillager player, but I was a good Pillager mulliganer. And so for me, I would keep Shroud of Concealment #1. If I have Shroud of Concealment, I want the second Shroud of Concealment. If I don't have the second Shroud of Concealment, I will keep Prep with it. I think Quick Pick is good. I don't think you ever keep Swindle. You think about keeping Swindle if you have Prep, but I think ultimately you don't. But I think those are the big ones. In this list in particular, I deeply despise the Blackwater Cutlasses. Those could literally be anything else. I think that card is useless unless you're equipping it on one to kill an unnerved Treasure Distributor. That is literally the best play ever for a Blackwater Cutlass. Or in modern times, you've played your whatever water trickster. I'm sorry. I guess I'm Naga racist. I can't keep track of all the Nagas. Like you play your Swift Scale trickster, and it makes your salad dressing 0. And then you play your Cutlass, and now your salad dressing is corrupted. And then you play your salad dressing. That is the other okay play for Cutlass. But mostly it's Shroud of Concealment, because Shroud of Concealment, if you think about it, you're looking for 5 minions, and it's drawing 2 of them. So, like, you can very quickly accrue everything you ever, all the minions you ever need.
Yeah.
I would probably keep Dig for Treasure, too. Dig for Treasure is just a solid turn 1 play, and it gets you a minion. It's just anything that you get minions.
I don't think I ever equipped Cutlass. I think it was just...
You've always just traded it? No, I think it sucks. I think a lot of times you're prepping stuff and you don't need it. Like, the mana that it saves is, like... to cycle for 1, it's very mid. It's very mid. It's always had like some of the lowest stats. I think the only list that I kind of like believe in it in is Juggler Rogue, because it costs 0 in Draka. So like you equip it just to get it out of your hand, and it's like one more card for the card god, right? Like that's
glad to hear
that's how it works.
I'm glad to hear that you said that you would drop it, because while playing the deck, it did seem to be the most useless card, and when I'd get it in my hand, I never wanted it. So on the same page.
Evasion's not bad.
Especially for the mirror, right?
Yes. For the mirror in particular, I think evasion is crazy good. Funny technology would be Daring Escape. So like if you know you're boomering the combo and you have like 1 extra mana, you can just screw it, I'll just combo next turn, and then you flip it all back to your hand. Now, are you able to get the Phoenixes down the next hand? That's in the next turn. That remains to be seen, but like that's an option that you could do. Yeah, I think those are 2 cards that I'd see. Some people, again, like I said, some people drop a Juggler for Scabs, because Scabs lets you go in a little bit quicker. But Martian was saying he was having trouble finding lethal with only 1 Juggler against some XL decks, which might just be like we're in our mid to late 30s playing an APM deck thing, maybe. But like I do think double Juggler makes a big difference.
I went up against Druid, and they were an XL deck, and they're armoring up, and I'm just like waiting for my second Juggler, and I'm like, come on, I gotta get, because it was just never gonna happen, right? And then it got to a point where it just armored so high that I was like, I'm not even gonna try. It's not gonna happen. They saw it coming.
Yeah. So like, those are the flexes in the list for sure. The most common ones that I've seen, and that's the mulligan, and then you play it and you win a lot of games, because I watched Boogerworm go from Diamond 4 to Legend in the span of like 50 minutes. He won like 18 games. Like it's just like rattling it off. Yeah, it's really fast. It's really fast.
Last night, so we're watching the latest season of You right now, and my wife's like, at 9:00 we've got to watch You, and I was like, but I want to play more games of Juggler Rogue, because we're doing the podcast tomorrow and we got to talk about this. I want to play more, right? And I played I had 15 minutes. I think I played like 4 or 5 games in like that 15 minutes.
Yeah, you can do that. They're really fast. It wouldn't shock me. You know what? I can do this on the fly. Let me look at the climbing speed. So if you go to HS Guru and you go to the meta tab for Wild, okay, Diamond through Legend, we'll do top 1K. Let's do past 3 days. And let's do Diamond through Legend. Yeah, Phoenix is up there. It looks like right now at Legend it's Libram Paladin. Top 1K, it's Phoenix Rogue, is what he's calling it. And it's got if you look at the next highest climbing rate, like it's up against Highlander Paladin, which is probably Holy Wrath, Shadow Priest, Highlander Mage, Highlander Shaman, and XL Hostage Mage are all the decks that qualified. If you look at the climbing speed, it's like 3 times the climbing speed of all the other ones. If you look at just top 5K, it's like an extra half a star an hour. So I don't know how many games that breaks down into, but I'm trying to make the point that it's very, very fast. Very fast games, and it has the fastest climb rate in the format. So if you're looking to hit Legend quickly, it's 11% popularity, top 5K. So basically, like looking at Legend, I don't know how many there are on NA, but looking at like decks in Legend across the format, 11% of it, basically 1 in 10 opponents is going to be a Phoenix Rogue. So, and it has the highest win rate based on the parameters of past 3 days, Wild, top 5K, minimum 500 games. Ew.
Juggler Rogue is less than 1%.
Juggler Rogue
popularity.
Yeah, and the people who play Juggler Rogue are usually specialists. So like they know what they're doing when they're playing Juggler Rogue, which is why that win rate always looks a little bit inflated. But also it's inflated because at the top of the meta, people are cheating. So like and that makes the deck much, much, much better. It's actually probably favored into... Weirdly, Draka is probably favored into Phoenix Rogue because it's a little bit faster and evasion does nothing. The Draka Rogue just outbuffs the evasion. Like, well, okay, we'll just make you dead instead of hitting you for 29. So, like, there isn't even really tech you can do as a Phoenix Rogue against Draka.
Yeah.
Which is funny. But into the greater field, you know, Draka Rogue explodes with a Dirty Rat on 2. Phoenix Rogue does not explode to Dirty Rat on 2. It's pretty funny. I'm just going to say, are you ready for some unrelated advice?
Oh, I'm totally ready.
Unrelated advice with Hydralisk.
Well, Hydra,
Yes.
it's been 11 years now. Has it been 11 years? We finally have a knife juggler meta, and the knife juggler has an iconic voice line when he comes in and is played. He asked to put an apple on your head. What I want to know is what's your favorite kind of apple?
Well, you know what's crazy is I have this friend who would have been perfect for this question because she dabbles in apples to the point
Apple
where
dabbler.
she tries she tries these I'm gonna have to ask her the name of it, but these specifically like engineered designed apples where they've combined and bred like the perfect apple. And
Hydra, these are
like,
fruits, not bread. Just want to clarify.
they like they're playing God at this point with the way that they've taken all of these apples and spliced them together to make the perfect apple.
Sure.
And I had a bite of one of these apples. I will find you the name next time.
Okay.
But it was pure bliss. Like I would eat them for dessert. But in the end, it's the Granny Smith, man. I'll eat a Granny Smith
Okay.
any day. Simple.
Yeah, we're a pink lady slipper household for the most part. My kid's like a nice crisp one. It's a little red. But it's
Is that
still
an
in the,
apple?
Yeah, it's still in the
lady
Tart.
slipper?
I think so. Or pink lady. Pink lady. I'm gonna get Blister Guide. It's gonna be like, that's not a real apple, you idiot. But there is also there's also another type that the orchard by me, and yes, I drive by an apple orchard. That's like yellow and bumpy, and so it's nice, but it's all on those crisp lines. So what sort of apple again do you like? What are the qualities you're looking for in an apple if you're gonna have one?
Well, first of all, it has to be sweet. You can only use like kind of like the Tart apples for tarts. Maybe that's why they call it Tart. Mind blown.
Wiser words have never been spoken, and you've heard that on.
Born to be wild.
I'm sorry to cut you off, but like, there's like, I don't think you can do better than that.
No, I was trying to find
better than tarts might be tarts because they're tart. Scene.